Estoy grabando. Sí, está grabando, ¿vale? Y me voy a la página ya de Facebook. Siguiente. ¿Tú me oyes, no, Ismael, en todo momento?
Sí, sí, sí.
Vale.
Perfecto.
Me voy cambiando de pantallas y estamos pasando al Facebook Live. Ok. Ok, voy a darle al transmitir, ¿eh? Yo te veo un pequeño. Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome to this launch of the Roma Politics series talks. Today we have an online conversation with Ismael Cortes, member of the Spanish Parliament, and it's 2 minutes past 5. We give you time to share and to be with us, to join us today. And before getting to the questions more into politics, I would like to thank Ismael for sharing this Friday with us. Hello, Ismael.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me here.
So what do you think, Ismael? Before people is joining us, can you tell us a little bit more about you? What have you studied? What work have you done before becoming a Spanish member of the Spanish Parliament?
Sure. Politics came to me as a surprise. Before doing politics, I was working as a researcher, mainly in minority rights field, focusing on political participation and cultural rights. So these two areas. I studied philosophy, and after that I studied international conflicts in the UNESCO Chair of Philosophy for Peace. And I first traveled to Latin America to understand the system of minority rights there, especially indigenous people in Colombia. And then I spent a bunch of years, around 6 years, traveling around Europe to understand the connection of Romani communities with other minority groups in Europe, such as Jewish people, Armenian, and other diasporas.
Ismael, I cannot hear you. Now, yes, sorry.
So that's it.
So I don't know, can you hear me, Ismael? Because I don't know if I have some technical problems.
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. So this is like your experience before going into politics.
Exactly.
You have done quite a lot traveling in South America and also in Europe.
Yeah, I try to combine my academic experience, so mainly research on minority political rights and cultural rights, with connection with different organizations, especially minority organizations. So I finished my PhD in 2017, and I also have done a lot of work within academia in Spain, but also in other countries in Europe, like UK, also Hungary, Brussels. So my main field of work was basically, as I said before, research. But on the other hand, I was always connected to social movements and also to the political life in Spain in a much broader sense, not only focusing on minority issues, but environmental issues, labor market, housing policies, and so on.
Okay, this is good. I would like to tell people that in the first part of this online conversation with Ismael, we will listen more to Ismael, get to know him. And on the second part, you can write your questions, okay? And any questions you want to ask Ismael, he will be happy to answer you more on the second part. So type your question, write anything you want to know. And, Ismael, ¿me oyes?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
I think the transmission has broken because I cannot see us anymore. Okay, this is the girls told me that this is happening. So I have to. Let's try again. Okay, hold on. Again, sorry, Ismael. I know. Okay, it's frozen. Okay. The girls are telling me the image is frozen. Perdona, Ismael.
Nada, nada, tú me dices cuando entramos.
Sí, ahora le estoy dando, pero es que va lento. Y no sé si es mi conexión. Yes. Me lo están diciendo las chicas, que a ellas también les ha pasado, ¿eh? Lo siento, cosas del... Y mira que estoy aquí en la habitación del... Ok, vale, ahora se empieza. Phiren Amenca. Siguiente. Ok. Entramos en breve.
Vale, cuando tú me digas, seguimos, ¿eh?
Sí. Y encima ahora me está escribiendo todo el mundo, ¿sabes? Ay, qué lento. Empezamos, ¿eh? Le voy a dar. Hello, everybody. Sorry, we have to apologize. I apologize because we have some technical problems. And I think the Facebook Live just was finished. So it takes some time to restart again. So I do apologize for this. I hope it will work now from now on. And sorry, Ismael, about it, but this is what is going on in this online world right now. So I think we were able to listen to Ismael all the first part, and he was explaining about his previous experience before he was a member of the Spanish Parliament. And now we carry on with this conversation, and we would like to know more about your way to the Parliament, you know. How did you enter into politics? Is it when you were younger, or it was in your plans to become a member of the Spanish Parliament?
It was not initially in my plans, as I said before. I've been since I was a teenager, involved in different political movements, cultural movements, but never thought that I will be in such an institution like the National Parliament. I was more an activist, an outsider from the political life. In Spain, it was an event in 2011 called the Indignados movement that mobilized majority of the youth, and I was part of that movement. I was traveling to different cities in Spain, trying to understand what was happening. Of course, the economic crisis derived from the Lehman Brothers financial crisis, it was a breakthrough in the history of the world, but especially in the political history of Spain. So from that movement, new political party emerged that is called, as you might know, Podemos. And it opened the space for new political subjects, new political topics, and also new political profiles. And in that political cycle, I entered into the scene. Through academia, I was making contacts and networks with different political profiles who belong to the party. And in the last elections, after a failed attempt to approve a national funding framework, the political party contacted me and I ran for election. I was lucky to be elected, I must say.
Okay, this is good. How did you was the first contact? How did the political parties you are representing, Unidas Podemos, how did they come to you with this proposal? It was like, did you expect that? No? How was that at the time?
What is important to know about the contact with a political party is that most of the time it's not coming up from nothing. So you need to have previous contact with the political life of your city, of your country, and then from there will come opportunities. In my case, as I said before, I have political connections, first because of the Indignados movement, second also academic connections with different political profiles within the party. So I was doing a work before I entered into the party and I became a politician.
So this is also important to get to know that people don't enter into politics just because of that. It's important to know also that Ismael se ha vuelto a cortar.
Pero que se corta la conexión en Facebook, ¿no?
Se corta la de Facebook. Se corta la de Facebook. Ay, qué mal es esto. Voy a hacerlo sin el live producer, que a lo mejor es porque es más fuerte, ¿sabes? La conexión.
Puede ser.
Ay, por favor, qué mal. Porque esto corta mucho el rollo. Ok, lo siento, Ismael.
Nada, nada.
Y mi conexión ahora parece que está bien, o sea, no sé si es mi conexión.
Sí, sí, sí.
Pero ni mi hijo está usando nada. Vale, no le voy a dar al live producer ese, a ver si es la calidad. Ignorar. Ok, creo que ahora lo voy a hacer mejor sin eso. A ver. No. Oh, yes. So I think we are back. Sorry about these technical problems. I don't know what is going on. Maybe it's my internet connection. So I'm very sorry about it. I hope there is no more interruptions and you can join us perfectly. So I hope you are listening to us now perfectly. We were talking about how Ismael was getting into politics and about his previous connection with the political movement before he became a member of the Spanish parliament. So this is also important, that you don't get into politics just because of that, if not because you have some kind of connections previously. And I think this is important. So it's an important work before that. So you was listening, you were talking about these connections that did you have, and that you never thought that you were going to become a member of the Spanish parliament. Tell us about, you explained about your experience. We know you have a great experience, a great job before becoming a politician. Did you think they contact you because you are Roma, or really because they were looking like a person with your profile?
As I said before, you need not only previous contact with the political party and the broader political life, but also previous experience and expertise on different fields. Yeah, because politics is not only about one topic, but it's mostly a holistic view on society. So I'm not really sure how much weight the fact that I am a Roma myself, it was a key issue for the decision to contact me and to propose me to run for elections. Especially also because I was leading an electoral list in a concrete district, and in some cases Roma voting that doesn't have that much weight in the balance in order to get elected. So I think, of course, my party and other parties in Spain are increasingly value the fact of diversity in society, including ethnic minorities, but you need much more experience and a wider vision in order to get into politics and to lead an electoral list. I think so.
Okay, this is good. I say again, just the people who is joining us now, that you can ask your questions to Ismael. He will be happy to answer you on the second part. Now we are having a little talk with him to get to know him more, his experience, how he was into politics, and you always can make some questions to him, okay? So on the second part, we will pick up some of your questions. And I really hope that the transmission goes on, and I apologize for these technician problems. So Ismael, getting more into politics, do you think, or can we talk about real Roma representation in Spain and in Europe?
The issue of representation is much more complex as we can think. So I explain in different papers, there is no one particular space for Roma representation. There is a democratic space for political representation and different subjectivities. So different profiles has to find a way to get in. And this is through political parties. Yeah, there is no structure where only Roma persons can go and be elected democratically and from there to have decisions on big social topics. So that's out of question. It's the same if we think about another minorities. Let's think about sexual minorities, LGBT movement. They don't have a concrete political space where they can go and they get elected, but you have LGBT profiles that they get into different parties, and from there they can defend their own rights. I think with ethnic minorities should be the same. We have to be able to mainstream our topics in mainstream political issues, and there we can claim our right. So we have to make sure that we are not left out.
I think this is very important. I would like to ask you about this kind of representation and not to be left out. What do you think? Is more effective to have like a Roma political party in this case in the Spanish parliament or in any of the other national parliaments? Or do you think it will be more effective if Roma or people from other minorities join the mainstream political parties, just said it like that? What will be more effective in this case? What do you think?
I think in majority of Western societies, it's not even possible to have a purely ethnic political party. I haven't seen that anywhere. Of course, in countries like Eastern Europe, it's a bit different. But in Western European societies, you will find like big political parties, and then you have like a mosaic. It's like a mosaic composition. So you have different subjectivities that try to harmonize their demands, and from there to get attracted the voters. In Spain, I think it wouldn't be even possible. There is one thing is the legislation. So if you have less than 5% of the votes, you cannot have a seat in the parliament. So this is one issue. The second issue is that we have to think that Roma people or any other minority, they are not a homogeneous group. So not all the Roma people have the same ideas. Many Roma people didn't vote for me, for example, because of the fact that I'm Roma myself. They vote to other political parties. So we have to start to think political participation in terms of democratic rights and the participation in the broader political scene, and not to think only in compartmentalization of political identities, because this is going to lead nowhere.
I think this is a very important point, what you just mentioned about it, you know, about this representation with the Roma population is a little percentage that is very difficult to reach the Spanish parliament, especially in the case of the Spain. Something is very interesting and is good. It's like you are Roma, you are a politician, but you are representing a party, but you are not only representing, like, let's say, Roma people, you are representing the Spanish society as a whole, you know, Roma, non-Roma, and also representing other minorities. Do you think this is like a strong point, like a Roma person like you is representing and is governing also for non-Roma? How is the impact?
No, I think this is part of the normalization of participation of different groups in political life. It's not only with Roma, as I said before, there are also other minorities who are participating in political parties and even in the government. They are working for the sake of majority, yeah, to improve the life of majority of society. In my case, for example, I'm working within the Committee of Home Affairs, also within the Committee of Social Affairs, also within the Committee of Sustainable Development Goals. So you can see, so there are many different directions through which I have to channelize my work. And in the end, who is going to benefit is my Roma fellows, but also my non-Roma fellows. Especially if you want to run for elections, you have to convince majority society. In my case, when I did my campaign, I talked very little about Roma issues because I knew that the people who will vote me for agricultural issues, labor market issues, artificial intelligence. So a much wider and colorful topics that doesn't focus exclusively on Romani problems. Now, the question is that me being in all these different fields of work within the parliament, I can make sure that Roma political topics are there. When we talk about housing, when we talk about labor market, when we talk about hate crimes, when we talk about prisons, when we talk about sustainable development goals. So in all these different fields, I can make sure that Roma are there. And also, what is more important, I can influence my non-Roma MPs and make sure that they don't forget about the Roma when they work in any issue.
Very good point about the influence, being there that you can influence on many topics regarding Roma. I'm going to ask you like a last question before asking you. The questions is coming from the viewers. We have some of them coming, so I don't want to take much of your time with asking you. I want to allow participants also to ask you. What is your message or suggestion for young people? Okay, it is important to engage in decision making. What would you tell to young people? I think you are becoming a reference to many people, not only to young people, but as we know the new generations of Romani people are coming strong. What will be your message or suggestions to them?
My first suggestion or advice, if I may, would be they have to follow their passion. They don't have to follow politics if they are not interested in. Yeah, politics is one option in life. Saying that, I think that politics is a very broad topic. There is a huge scope where you can work on politics. You can work through art. You can work through academia. You can work through media. You can even relate sports and politics. You can work on peacemaking. So there are many ways where you can participate in political life. And in the end, politics is the art to connect with different people and work for the good of everyone. Talking about decision making, again, there are different choices. There are different ways in which you can participate in politics. Of course, one way is going to institutionalize politics. You go for the city council, regional government, national government, European government, whatever. But then you can also participate in civil society. You can also work in your neighborhood, making sure that all what your people need is satisfied. What is very important when we talk about politics is that in the end, politics is affecting every sphere and dimension of our lives. So we cannot escape from politics. So at least I would suggest people to keep an eye on politics, although it's not necessary to dedicate your entire life to it.
Good. So I say again, you can type your question following the Phiren Amenca page, and we can ask Ismael. I'm going to open the time of questions to him. I say again, apologize if it's any technician problem. I think we are getting well. So I hope we can finish the session with no technical problems. So we have a question, Ismael, from Simona. And she's asking, what are some of the policies, legislative initiatives you are involved in or have worked on?
Mm-hmm. So I started to work already, and it was registered, an initiative on education and non-segregation, or put it in other words, inclusive education. And that is affecting the Roma a lot. On the one hand, because there is a lot of residential segregation, so spatial segregation, geographical segregation in Spain, affecting the Roma, but also other groups. So this is one thing that we have to tackle. But also with the education system, there are different levels, and usually the Roma students are put at the bottom of the system. And this is also a factor of segregation. So this is one piece I'm working on. The other thing I'm working is about anti-hate speech legislation and anti-hate crimes legislation. Now these are my two main topics. In parallel, I'm working also in this idea that we work at the European level, that is the Commission on Anti-Gypsyism. So tracking from historical records of discrimination of the Romani people, but also highlighting the cultural economic and social contribution of the Romani people to Spanish society.
Very good. I think you answered the question to Simona. Then we have one more question from Alexandra. Can you please tell us something about Santiago Abascal and Vox Party and how it is affecting the Roma community in Spain?
Yeah, it's a very paradoxical party, Vox. It's a political party connected with the so-called Eurosceptic parties or far-right parties in Europe. They are very good friends of Fidesz in Hungary, for example, or Marine Le Pen in France, or Farage in UK, and also good connection with Trump and all these how to call it, all these constellations, to put it in a nice way. But with the Romani people, it's a very ambivalent relation, because on the one hand, there are a lot of Romani people who confront the far-right parties because they think this is going to affect them in a very negative way, especially because of the level of hatred that they are putting in society, and also because of the economic policies that they are very harsh to the poor people. But on the other hand, there are also a bunch of Romani people, a segment, I would say, a portion of the Romani population who are happy with the traditional values that this party is representing. So me being a Roma and a leftist politician, I have to do a lot of pedagogy in order to convince my Roma fellows to not be very sympathetic to this party, although I respect the plurality of democracy.
Okay, so we have a lot of questions are coming. Let's see if we are allowed, if Ismael can answer all of them. Thank you very much for your active participation. The next question, Ismael, is who can guide the Roma youth to the right things?
Sorry?
Who can guide?
You repeat again?
Yes, sorry. Which person who can guide the Roma youth to the right things?
To the
right things.
It's a very problematic question. I would say nobody should guide the Roma youth. They have to find their own way, and also what is right, what is wrong. Yeah, they have to explore through their own experience, political experience, and social experience. What is the good? What is the evil? I think no one should guide the Romani youth in one way or another. It would be dangerous, I would say.
I think you are right. This is a very good answer. I think everybody has to find their own way. So we have a next question coming from Anna. She says, you might have heard about the anti-Roma protests of yesterday in Budapest, but similar events happen all around Europe from time to time. How do you think the opposition, the Roma and non-Roma civil society should react to such cases?
Yeah, we have to be very, very smart, and we have to analyze the different trends of the extreme rights movement, because they are very smart, opposite to what we usually think, or opposite to what people usually tend to think. Extreme right movement, they try to be hide from the media focus and the political focus, but they build a strong movement, and a strong grassroots movement, by the way. And when they are strong enough, they feel brave to go out and to protest in the street. And by that point, usually it's very late. It's very late because leftist movement and let's say human rights movement didn't notice them before. I think this is a day by day work, and I think, for example, in Phiren Amenca is doing a very good work connecting different people in Europe, raising awareness about the historical roots of fascism in Europe. But we have to find ways to reach out more people, and I think this is the main challenge: how to reach out majority society, not only a small circle. That's why, as I said before, alliances with other minorities, but also people who doesn't belong to minorities, is very, very important.
Yes, I do agree with you. I think it's like a connection also with the people from non-majorities group is also very important. We have a question from Marina, and she's asking, how do you make sure that issues of Romani women girls are also represented during your work? And do you have any connections with NGOs which work with Roma women girls on the grassroots level?
Yeah, very good question. I'm also part of the community, the committee on equal opportunities. Well, we can call it in other countries equality bodies. And it is very important to make sure that Romani women are there, especially in Catalonia and Andalusia have strong connections with the Romani women movement. And in Barcelona, also the city council that is ruled by the party that I belong to is also very open to listen Romani voices, especially Romani women. The Romani women are developing in a very rapid way, and I have communication with them. What is most important for them, as far as I can talk, is the issue of education, also labor market, but also reproductive rights, understanding in a very broad way, not in a narrow way, which is also important, maternity rights and other things.
Good. So we getting on with the questions. I think people is happy to listen to you, and you are answering all the questions. We have a question from Bogdan, and he's asking, do you have any statement on the case of the Romani man killed in Spain during the COVID crisis?
Yeah. I wrote different articles in Spanish. Also, I'm preparing now a media coverage for international media. I hope it can be out soon. In my Facebook is plenty of statements I did when this murder happened. We can see now also in the United States how racism is a root cause for this kind of assassinations.
I think, I know you did it, and I think if they can search in your Facebook page, they can see the statement you did in this specific case. So I think you publish everything, you post everything in Facebook. So if Bogdan is interested, I think he can check on it. We have a question from Julius. He's asking, can you take a stand on what is going on now in Hungary? International pressure is a key for pushing Orban to stop such manifestations.
You know, now geopolitics in Europe is very complicated. It's very complicated, especially after Brexit. There are extreme right views are being normalized in Europe, in the European Union even. And there is no certainty about the future of the nations that are part of the European Union. So they don't want, no one wants to have a clear statement on what to do. Why I'm saying this? Because what we have claimed for years is that the People's Party of France, Spain, by the way, Germany and other major countries could expel Fidesz, for example, that is a member of the People's Party family in the European Parliament. And it doesn't happen. We don't know why. We are pushing and pushing. Also recently in Poland, the government is allowing anti-gay demonstrations. very violent demonstrations. And from the national level, we are making pressure to our peers, let's say to our fellows, MP fellows, who belong to the People's Party, in order to take a stand. But the issue is not that simple. I don't see that they will take an immediate response to that. Of course, leftist party, we make our statement and we oppose this kind of politics that is becoming more and more dictatorship, or what they call liberal democracy.
Thank you, Ismael. Bogdan is coming back to the question he answered before about your statement on the Romani men killing in Rosiana. He says, but what about a party position against that? If your political party, maybe, he's asking.
Okay, this is a good question. When you belong to a political party and you make a statement, it's not like when you are individual activist that you have the freedom to write whatever you want on Twitter, Facebook, or even in a newspaper. When you're part of a political party, almost everything you do related to public narrative, it has to have the approval of your political party, because you are not talking anymore as an individual, you are talking on behalf of the party. So if me as an MP make an article or a statement in the public sphere, including social media, this is already backed up by the political party and is taken, by the way, and a statement of my party.
Well, this is very good to know that when you belong to a political party and you make a statement, it's back also with the political party. Thank you, Ismael. I think this is very important to know. So sometimes you cannot answer as individual if you know us with a political party behind. We have one more question, and this question is very linked to the situation right now. Can you comment on how the COVID pandemic affects Roma communities in Spain and in Europe? Does it affect them more severely or in different ways than others? What do you think?
It's a very broad question. It's a very vast topic that is covering the COVID, because COVID is affecting everything. It's not only affecting one dimension. It's affecting our entire lives. It's creating not only an economic crisis, but also existential crisis of the people. When we talk about Roma, I also like to differentiate or to highlight that Roma people are diverse, so you can find different professions, different social strata, and different living conditions of the Romani people. So that we know that there is an important proportion of Romani people living in poor conditions. So to that people, this has been very hard. This has been very difficult. We can imagine people who are living in housing conditions, who are in substandard living conditions, even in barracks, slums. So you can imagine how the conditions of health are there. So we have to put a special effort. And indeed, the Spanish government mapped more than around 1,000 of Roma neighborhoods who have special necessities. Another thing is labor market. There are also an important proportion of Romani people working in the streets, like selling goods in the street. They cannot work now because of the confinement. This is also very complicated. Then education, for many people, for many Romani students, was before the crisis was difficult to follow the courses and the school, and now it's increasingly more difficult how to follow the lessons, how to have access not only to internet but also to devices, and also how to use them, how to be tutor and mentor by their teachers who are not skilled to work in this new condition. So in all these dimensions, the COVID, the coronavirus, is increasing the gap between Roma and non-Roma people in Spain. Today, by the way, I'm very happy that the government approved a a new measure, a very important one. It's a universal basic income. So people who are in risk of poverty, they will have around €1,000 per month in order to be safe from the economic crisis derived as a consequence of the pandemic.
Thank you, Ismael. We have a very nice question from Atanas. He's asking, he's curious about if it is difficult to be Roma at the Spanish Parliament. Also, do you receive racist attitudes there? And can you tell more about your everyday work? I think people is curious about what is your everyday work and if it's difficult to be Roma at the Spanish Parliament.
I have to say there is no racism among the non-Roma fellows in the parliament. Usually people are very nice, they are well educated, and they behave in a gentle way. The other thing is the capacity of the level of power that you have if you are Roma. Because you are a tiny minority. You are like a drop of water in the ocean. And this makes it very difficult to initiate any proposal, especially at the legislative level, even at the public discourse level. Here we have 350 MPs, and there are only 3 Roma there. So it's even less than 1%. You can imagine. This is a very low unity of forces to work in this vast power structure. So in this way, it is difficult being a Roma in the parliament. We would need more people in different parties, but also more numbers of Romani people in the national parliament. The second question, what is the daily work of an MP? So you have to go to the committees, you have to make a statement, make a speech, you have also to connect with the grassroots, most of the non-Roma organizations, like labor organizations, housing organizations, environmental issues, and as many things as you can think. And so you spend also a lot of time having meetings with them, either presentially or online. Also, you have to prepare law proposals or legislative initiatives, and this is the most difficult because you have to negotiate a lot first within your own political party, because there are many issues that they want to get in the plenary session. And first you have to negotiate there, and then you have to negotiate with the rest of the political parties. And all these imply a lot of work, a lot of hours.
Ismael, I don't know if people will be happy to become politician of no after the description of your everyday work. I think it's...
Of course, you have help, yeah, and if you have good connections with civil society, this is also very important. We know that some Atanas, for example, he collaborated with me a lot in Brussels, and when we worked with Soraya, this was also a huge help for her. Yeah, like for us having her in the parliament, it was very successful, and also for her having us around her and working in topics makes her life easier. So the best connections you have, the easier.
Well, what I think is very important to get to know two people, there is a lot of work every day, so it's not easy also to be politician. I'm receiving a lot of questions, I have to say, but I'm going to ask you again. Bogdan is asking again, is related what you just mentioned now, that's why I'm saying this question. He says, if there is no racism in Europe parliaments, how do you explain the lack of political will to address Roma issues?
No, I didn't say there is no racism in the European Parliament, or I'm speaking concretely on the national parliament in Spain. What I said is there is no racist comment or racist attitude against me particularly, because this was the question raised by Atanas. But I said there is a structural racism. First, because there are very few Roma politicians in the parliament, and second, because it's very difficult to convince others to put in the center of the scene Romani rights.
Thank you. I think it's a very important to make this very clear. So thank you very much, Ismael. We have a question from Phiren Amenca, and I have to say thank you to Phiren Amenca to give me the opportunity to moderate the first online series talk with politicians and to have Ismael here. So the question from the colleagues from Phiren Amenca is, you are a young representative but in the parliament, are they taking you as serious as all the politicians, or because you are a young representative, they are not taking seriously?
No, first of all, I have to say I'm not that young anymore. So I don't know how much this question applied to me. Second one, I think age matters a lot in politics. Age matters a lot. There is a paradigm of the wise elder man who is the leader of a country guiding to the good solutions. So this is influencing a lot of politics, I think not only in Spain, but everywhere. But it depends also of your organizations, in my case, the political party, and how much open is your party to listen to the youth. And also I must say that I think my political party in average is the youngest party in Spain. So I think this is a positive issue, and they are much more open to listen new initiatives, new people, even new movement, new claims.
Yes, I think maybe the word like you are still young, but young as a politician, I guess so. I have a question from Corina. She's asking, in your work in the committee about the sustainable goals, how the specific needs situation of minorities are taken into account in the building of environment strategies to be sure that a sustainable future will not be a privilege of few?
Yeah, very, very important. Very important. I think this is a topic that Roma minorities should work more and more, because the issue of a healthy environment is becoming a privilege. And we can see this in many Romani communities, how the health condition there, even the pollution in the Romani communities is a very severe problem. I'm working now in creating different indicators and how the racism is affecting education, how it's affecting housing, how it's affecting environmental living condition, and how in all these different dimensions racism is operating. I hope this can be done in a year or so, and it can be also presented at the European level and with different Roma organizations. We need good data, but we need also good framework, a good narrative to present to the wider public that this is a priority, as important as labor market or education, I would say. But we have to work on clear indicators, because through indicators you can show data. And in democratic debate, data is a tool of power.
Thank you. We have Edita wrote few questions. Let me see if I ask you the correctly questions Edita is asking. So Edita, please listen to me. If it's not right what I'm asking, just let me know. She says, can MEP, members of the European Parliaments, or Roma members of the European Parliaments, ask Committee of Ministers in the EU level what is concrete impact ESIF regards progress in Roma in all member states of EU? I don't know what is ESIF. I don't know, maybe you know what is ESIF? ESIF?
But you mean the European Social Fund or what?
No, I don't know. I don't know. let me, Edita, please, can you retype again this question? She's asking more, so we go for the next one, and maybe she can make clear more about it because I didn't understand. She's asking how many costs EU-Roma integration form, I guess is the plan, 2014-2018, used to support member states, their strategy of Roma integrations, which are an ex-ante conditionality for drawing money from, I think it's the European Social Fund, I think so. So she's asking about how much money, I guess, how many costs, I guess, is how much money the implant for the Roma, for the strategies of Roma integrations in the period of 2014-2018.
Yeah, of course they can do it. This is a question that any MEP can make to the Commission, and they have to answer. They are obliged to answer.
Okay.
And this is in the capacity of an MEP. I can also make this question at the national level, and the government and the ministries responsible, they have to give you these numbers.
Oh, this is good. So Edita, I think, I don't know if I did write your question. If not, please let me know. I have a question from Thomas. He says, hi Ismael, what do you think about quotas in order to increase representation of Roma at all levels of politics, including public sector?
I think it's very important. It's a very important issue, and it's also a core part of the minority rights. When we see the different legislation at international level, like the United Nations, different declarations, initiatives, and in the end, the different normative that it has been produced by United Nations and other international bodies. Also, if we look at the Racial Equality Directive in Europe, Article 5 also, it has a point that can be interpreted in favor of quotas. In Spain, for example, with the women movement, it has been a big achievement, the issue of quotas, in order to increase the representation, not only in political sphere, but also in the labor market, for example, and in public and private institutions. So I'm very much in favor of this measure. It's a way, it's not the only way, but I think it's a legitimate way to fight for our rights.
Yes, this is a very good point from Thomas. We have also a nice question from Lassie. He says, do you see any opportunity for collaboration in the future between Roma members of parliaments across Europe at an international level?
This is an issue also how multi-level democracy works in Europe. It can be a coalition of different Roma MPs, of course, in order to raise demands to the European level. This is a possibility. But I think the best way is to have MEPs. This would be the best way. Yeah, and then these MEPs, Roma MEPs, they can connect with Roma MPs, so they can make sure that what they talk at the European level then is translated into the national level. Yeah, so try to, as I said before, try to use the structures that already exist, not to create new one or parallel one, but try to fix into the power structures that are already there. And I think the European Parliament is a very good space that Romani people have to occupy.
Good point. I think this is important. It's reaching about the European Parliament. We have also a nice question from Michal. He says, hi Ismael, what would you recommend to Roma people in the Czech Republic where the Roma have not been represented in the parliament almost for 20 years? How to start?
Yeah, but I have to say something, that in Spain, before the last elections, we had also, I think, around 20 years of no representation at all, or even more, I would say, maybe 30 years. So it's not exclusive problem of Czech Republic. If you look at France, if you can look at Hungary, of course, Hungary, they always have a kind of representation, but very low. But if you can look at Italy, UK, and majority of countries in Europe, you will find the same problem. We have to be educated into political participation. And as I said in many occasions, we have to be educated in political participation beyond the NGOs structures. NGOs is one structure of political participation, and they are a structure of power, but they are not the only one. And also the connection between civil society and political institutions is very important. And for that, we need to be prepared and to create connections, to be committed, to be engaged into the political life.
Yes, I think this is a very good point to be prepared, you know. You explained at the beginning, I don't know if all the people were there at the beginning, your background, all the work you did before becoming a politician. And I think this is a very good point, you know, like to get prepared and not only to be Roma and to have very good connections, you know. I'm very happy because a lot of participants are passing me, my colleagues from Phiren Amenca, the questions, and I see they are very active and they want to ask you many questions. They are very curious. I think you are a great reference for them. Maybe as I'm the moderator, maybe I can take the chance, and you are a representative also from me. I'm a Spanish citizen, so you are one of my representatives in the Spanish Parliament. With this pandemic and this crisis, and we know, as you mentioned before, that it's affecting everybody, not only Roma, but also Roma is very affected. How is going to be the future of, when we're talking about the future, I'm talking about the welfare situation of the people with less opportunities, just call it like that, like this a high percentage of the Spanish population, you know. I mean, we are very worried about this pandemic, what is all creating, you know, insecurity, not only health insecurity, if not also labor insecurity. How do you see Spain in the next 6 months, 1 year?
Unfortunately, the first issue is that in this period of crisis, what a country needs is cohesion and unity. But we are suffering a very harsh opposition. So extreme right parties, with the help of the conservative parties, are going to the streets every day, also creating more and more disenchantment to the government. They are creating more and more hatred in the people. And so this is creating a very complicated situation and a lot of uncertainty. But beyond that, beyond this, what I would say is a political conflict, not only in the parliament, but also in the street, with some even violent episodes against the government. We need to secure housing. So this was the first measure approved by the government. And also I was working on that with my political party, who is part of the coalition in the government. Second, we have to try to secure no jobs, because now it's very difficult to secure jobs, because there is a lot of activity that cannot be done, but at least to secure income to the families, we are doing that, especially as I said before. Today we approve a universal basic income. But third, we have to prepare for huge digital transformation. And this is going to affect especially to the Roma. The Roma, they have to be prepared for the future and to be educated into digital skill. And also in education, now we need more and more Roma well-educated mentor to help Roma students to not drop out from schooling, because now the families, they will have a lot of difficulties to help Romani students to follow the courses. Before you go to the classroom and the teacher is doing their work and also is vigilant to ensure that the students have to follow and can learn. But now students are at home alone, and families, they have a lot of responsibility on that, but they are not maybe educated on digital skills. And now most of the education is going to be online. So this is going to be a huge challenge. So online education, but also digital transformation in the labor market, I think these two fields are going to create a major challenge that we have to deal with. And this is going to be very difficult for the Roma. I don't have now a clear vision, but I know we have to put efforts on that.
Well, thank you very much, Ismael, because also there is an important role of the Roma organizations, the Roma civil society organizations. So it's also important to hear about these digital challenges. So maybe we can work also focus on these issues. And regarding the role of the Roma organizations, there is a question saying, what can we civil organizations do, and what should national governments do to see more young Roma people in politics in Europe?
First of all is to educate the Romani youth in political life. So they have to know, of course, what are the Roma problems, but they need to have a holistic vision of society and what are the main challenges. For example, now, health issues, very important. Digital transformation is already here. In Spain, housing policies, it has been crucial for the new political movement and even the political party that I belong to. It was built upon the housing rights movement. So they need to have a very open view in order not to focus only on problems affecting the Romani people itself, but also to build solidarity with other groups. Because if people can see that you care about their problems, they will be more likely to care about your own problems as well. But this relation will have to be very careful. And in many cases, Roma civil organizations, they were and they are in a bubble. They concentrate very much on Romani problems and they relate to the institutions, but they put very little effort into create connections with political party and non-Roma organizations. And this network is very much needed if you want to have a serious impact in the political life.
Thank you very much, Ismael. I'm taking note of this point and I think it's very important. We have the last question. I think we have been here for more than 1 hour. So we give the last question to Mari. She's asking, we are seeing an emerging high-risk situation in Hungary. Neo-Nazis marched against Roma in Budapest and the government didn't do anything to stop them. The last time they did it, people were attacked later on their communities. Is there a way to raise this issue at the European level and have a Spanish government take a position? Can we help those local activists from outside because their options locally are very limited?
As I said before, it's a very complex issue. I think in Spain we can make things. Yeah, we can ask to the parliament to approve a resolution on opposing this kind of demonstration. But even we have this kind of demonstration in Spain, not against the Romani people only, but against human rights, against government actions. So now extreme right is international. It's not anymore in one country. It's not anymore in Eastern Europe. It's also in Western European societies. So it's going to be very difficult to reach a consensus and take a position against extreme right parties and groups operating in other countries when we have also groups operating here, and the rule of law can do very little to oppose them, unfortunately. But yeah, we can also initiate different proposals to the Parliament in order to do something. The European Parliament, that would be different, because also someone talked before also about the ex-ante conditionality and what are the conditions to access European funds in general, not only European Social Fund, but any European fund. And the first thing would be the respect for human rights. And I think this is the place, this is the house where this debate should be done. And then in different European countries, national level, we can follow this proposal of the European Parliament, or we can do the lobby and convince our colleagues in the national parliaments. But I think in these cases, the European Parliament and the European Commission, they have a lot of power.
Yes, I do think so also. It's more about the European Parliament and the European Commission. Well, was the last question. Thank you very much, Ismael, for joining us and to be with us for more than 1 hour and to answer all the questions that people raise, many of them very, very hard to answer, at least from my point of view. I have to apologize for the technical problems we have at the beginning. I'm very sorry about it. Maybe it was my fault that I don't know much how it works, these online platforms. I will learn more for the next time. I will also thank Phiren Amenca for giving this opportunity and also for listening to you. I think you're a reference not only in Spain, I think, as many of the youngsters and not youngsters people asked, and they were very active in the event. You are becoming a reference also for people in Europe. I will say bye-bye and thank to everybody, but I'm just giving to you the last word. You can say goodbye and I give you the last word, and you can finish with a message to the Roma community in Europe.
I would like to thank everybody for being here. Also, I want to thank Phiren Amenca, Anna also for conducting the interview. And this is also the good part of the coronavirus. We are creating new meetings, new type of connections and events that we have not been able to create before. And this is also a window of opportunity, as I said, this digital transformation of society that is also a result of the coronavirus. So thank you everyone for being there. For me, it is a pleasure to spend time with you, and I'm really happy to listen many of my friends asking questions, and I'm here for everything you need. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ismael.
Sí.
Vale, ya está. La culpa es mía, creo que al principio...
Bueno, no, pero no te preocupes, es decir, ya está, yo creo que ha salido bien, la gente tenía...
Sí, pero un montón de preguntas, ¿eh?
Sí, la gente ha tenido interés en hacer preguntas, ha habido el seguimiento. Bueno, yo creo que ahora también lo interesante es si se puede editar el vídeo.
Sí, yo creo que sí.
Se pueden eliminar los cortes esos que hemos tenido. Igual si es interesante se puede incluso subtitular.
Hombre, yo creo que sí, porque yo creo que si lo hubiéramos hecho en castellano, pues me imagino que mucha más gente...
Sí, seguro que sí.
Pero...
Bueno, pues si quieres, si tú has grabado el vídeo cuando puedas, pásamelo, y si hacéis una edición con subtítulos en castellano, pues también me la pasas y la movemos.
Perfecto.
Yo creo que está guay que la gente pueda tener este tipo de encuentro, aunque sea online.
Vale, sí, perfecto.
Bueno.
Pues está. Muchas gracias.
Va, a ti. Y cuando quieras, ya sabes, hablamos.
Perfecto. Ah, vale, ya está. Me estaba mandando mensaje las chicas. Hasta luego. Chao,
Venga,
chao.
hasta luego. Chao.